Good morning, students. Welcome to our basic science class. In our last class, we have discussed about light and some properties of light. We have seen light travels in a straight line, and there are objects which allow the light to pass through it. They are transparent, and we have seen translucent and opaque objects also. Today, we are going to study more about light. At the end of today's video, you will be able to describe solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. Solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. Have you seen solar eclipse? Or have you heard about eclipse? Maybe last year or 2 years before. Maybe you have heard somewhere, right? There is eclipse, grahanam. So when there is eclipse, sometimes your parents maybe tell you not to go out and not to observe the sun and all. Some people are really scared about eclipse. There is a belief that during eclipse, a big snake swallows the sun. We know it is not true. When we are studying science, we will know the secrets behind these things. So let's see how solar eclipse and lunar eclipse are formed. Now we are observing Earth. This is the light source from the sun. So light comes from the torchlight and falls on the earth. This side of the earth will be daytime and other side of the earth will be nighttime. As you know, moon rotates around the earth in its orbit. So moon orbits around the earth like this, isn't it? So you can see. So when the moon reaches here, you can see the light falls on the moon. So if we are in this side of the earth, we can see this side of the moon, right? And you're staying here and moon moves to this side, and you can see only one side of the moon. That's where the shape of the moon changes. So that's not our topic today. So if you are in this side of the earth, you can see the moon. Moon is getting light from the sun. So sunlight falls on the moon and moon reflects that light and it comes to the earth and we can see the moon, right? So moon is rotating in its orbit. Moon orbits around the earth like this. So sometimes the moon comes in between the sun and the earth in a straight line. So three of them will be in a straight line. So here earth, moon and sun will be here. Now we can see the moon comes in between the sun and the earth. And the shadow of the moon falls on the earth. You can see shadow of the moon falls on the earth. So when the shadow of the moon falls on the earth, that side of the earth will be completely dark. So if you are observing the sun from this dark zone, if you are in that area and you are observing the sun from that area, you won't be able to see the sun. Eclipse will be visible for you. So this is how solar eclipse takes place. When the moon comes in between the earth and the sun, solar eclipse takes place. There is one more type of eclipse, that is lunar eclipse. What happens during lunar eclipse? Let's see. So as I said before, the moon will be moving around the earth in its orbit. So when the moon reaches in a straight line with the earth and sun, when these three things are in a straight line and the earth comes in between the moon and the sun, lunar eclipse takes place. When the moon reaches to a particular area, the shadow of the earth falls on that moon. So when the shadow of the earth falls on that moon, we can see lunar eclipse.
Imagine you are standing somewhere in the middle of the day and suddenly it gets dark. You think, where are the lights? After a while, you see the sun again and everything is back as it was. This was a solar eclipse. The word eclipse is taken from the Greek word eclipses, that means downfall or abandonment. An eclipse happens when a volume or an object in the space blocks an observer from seeing another thing, object in the space. From our Earth, there are two kinds of eclipses. First, solar eclipses, and second, lunar eclipses. Solar eclipse happens when the moon comes in front of the sun and thus causing a shadow to fall on some parts of our Earth. In other words, a solar eclipse is when a line occurs between the sun, the moon, and our Earth. The moon covers or blocks a part of the sun's light and it creates a large shadow on the Earth. This eclipse is not visible from every place of Earth, but it is visible only from the locations in our Earth where the shadow falls. From these parts or locations of Earth, it appears as if the sun has vanished and gone dark. Now you know a lot of solar eclipse. There is one important thing to remember. We should not look directly with open eyes at the solar eclipses. Even though it looks dark, the harmful rays of the sun can affect your eyes. That's why never ever try looking at an eclipse without proper eye protection.
So that's how solar eclipse and lunar eclipse takes place. So when these three things, sun, earth and moon, when they comes in a straight line, eclipse takes place. When moon comes in between the earth and the sun, it is solar eclipse. When the earth comes in between the moon and the sun, it is lunar eclipse. Okay, so the solar eclipse and lunar eclipse takes place because these objects are opaque. That means they do not allow the light to pass through them. So shadows takes place. Here my hand is opaque. Do not allow the light to pass through it. So when I am passing light through my hand, I can form shadows of my hand, right? You can see this ball also opaque. As we have seen, this is our moon. This was our moon, right? So these objects is also form shadow. So there are objects which do not allow the light to pass through them. So there are objects which do not allow light to pass through them. This is one of that. Then we are going to see how can you observe solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. There are many ways to observe solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. There are particular films that we can use to observe lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. So when there is solar eclipse or lunar eclipse, we should not look directly into that. So it may damage. If you are observing the eclipse directly, it may damage your eyes. It may cause severe problems to your eyes and retinas. So you should not observe the eclipse directly. Maybe you have seen eclipses by using X-ray films or by using cowdung water, by using different methods. Using X-rays also not safe. So let's see some methods to observe eclipses. So you have seen some methods to observe solar eclipse. So that is the end of our chapter. Our topic is finished for first term. That's all for today. If you have any doubt, we can clarify in our live interactive section. Thank you. Have a nice day.